Nexstar Media Group, which owns Fox 31 here in town, has announced its plans to acquire 9 News' parent company, TEGNA, in a $6.2 billion deal, creating the largest local broadcasting company in the U.S. The merger is expected to close in the second half of next year. Together, the companies will operate 265 TV stations across 44 states, reaching nearly 80% of U.S. households. This would be unprecedented. So joining us to discuss this merger is our 9 News legal expert, Whitney Traylor. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, good to be here.
I know so many people are on edge about this. There's a lot of questions. So first, this is not a done deal just yet. What has to happen for it to be a done deal?
Right, this is a major merger, so there's a lot of moving parts that still have to happen. The first thing is the TEGNA shareholders have to actually approve it. So I know the board of directors at TEGNA, it was a unanimous decision there, so they were all on board. But the shareholders have to approve it first, and then the FCC has to approve it. And that's going to be a major issue because, as you just said in the lead-in, this would be a major. They would have 80% of the market, which is exceeding the FCC regulations. So that's going to be an issue there too. So those two things have to happen. And Sinclair, another company, was showing interest. They were eyeing TEGNA as well. So that may impact how the shareholders vote. So it's not a done deal by any measure.
What are the terms of this proposed deal in terms of, like, is it a merger? Is it an acquisition? What does that look like? That's
a great question because a lot of the reporting would say it was a merger, but it really is an acquisition. I mean, when you have a merger, two companies that are essentially of equal size come together, they form another company, and then they kind of share the resources. Here, this would be an acquisition, so it'd be a $6.2 billion deal. They would buy the outstanding shares at $22 a share, which is basically a 31% premium over a 30-day period, 31% premium of the stock price. So they pay $22 for those outstanding shares, and then at the time of close, if it goes through, they would either refinance the debt or absorb the debt. But essentially, TEGNA would then fold into Nexstar. So this is really an acquisition.
Yes, we are being acquired.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because maybe under previous administrations, this would not really happen under FCC regulation, but things are changing a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because the Biden administration, particularly with the DOJ and antitrust violations, they were very much against these major mergers. They caused a lot of breakups, prevented things from happening. We just saw with the King Soopers Albertsons, that deal didn't go through. But the Trump administration is significantly different, and the FCC chair, the head of the FCC, is of course a Trump appointee, and so they're trying to get rid of a bunch of regulation, and really I think there is a political aspect to it. I think Trump wants to have very positive things said about him, and this is one way of controlling that. So the FCC, for example, they just did away with 98 different regulations back in I think August 7th. So here, the biggest regulation is this market cap. And so what the market cap says is a TV station or ownership of TV can only reach 39% of U.S. households. As you said in the lead-in, this would make it 80%.
Quite a bit more.
Quite a bit more. And so, and this kind of goes along with this notion of antitrust, that you don't want to have all these huge corporations running things because then there's no competition. It's very homogeneous, and a lot of people are really concerned about that. In fact, there was a research that said of Nexstar companies right now, 50% of their stations are using the same language. And so some people are saying, hey, this is going to prevent a diversity of voices and opinions. So there's some concerns there.
Question for you. So under this administration, with this new FCC rules allowing this potentially to go through, which it wouldn't have before, would this be a problem down the road with a different administration, a Democratic administration?
Right. So that's a great question. And I don't know specifically, can they, essentially what you're saying is, hey, if this goes through and then you get a new FCC chair and they put in new regulations and say, all right, hey, this 39% cap is going to be a hard cap, will they be able to break it up or cause Nexstar and TEGNA to somehow divide? And I think the answer is yes. but that's now we're talking about administrative agencies and administrative law, which can be quite complex. And it's interesting because there was just with administrative agencies like the FCC, they create regulations that govern us, just like Congress creates statutes. But there's a comment period, an open public comment period. So when they're going to make changes, the public is allowed to come in. You may remember with net neutrality, that was a huge issue, and everybody was making these public comments. Well, here the public comment period just ended, and that's why they think the deal was then announced, and both Sinclair and Nexstar started looking at TEGNA after that comment period has went through. But it's going to be, there's a rub between Congress and the FCC right now because a lot of folks are saying only Congress can change this cap. The FCC is pushing back saying, no, we'll be able to change this cap. So that's going to be an ongoing fight as well.
Believe us, there's a lot of questions. We are pretty much being as transparent to our viewers.
Yes.
Everything that we know, we're telling you. We don't really know what this looks like in the future.
Right.
We're just on edge with things.
Yes.
So, you know, bear with us as we work through it. But I'm so glad that you came in and kind of answered some questions.
Sure. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot. But, you know, when you got the talent, you'll be fine either way. So don't sweat it.
We love you, Whitney. Thank you.